Was Derek coming tonight?
No.
Okay. I think we'll go ahead and call a motion to call the meeting to order. Everybody have a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections that need to be made?
I'll move to approve.
I didn't approve the minute. You're never change it. I know.
Been approved by Larry, second by Cale. All in favor? Minutes are approved. Consent agenda. We need permission for clerk to pay insurance at time of billing, to pay utilities at time of billing, to pay utility incentives before the 25th of the month, to pay theater bills when due, to pay payment service network bills when due, and to pay LKN dues of $976.06.
So moved.
Moved by Amanda. Second by Cale. All in favor? Approved. Sheriff.
I talked to Cody before I came in. He had some other things going on this evening, so I couldn't make it. Did want to just mention the only thing that he really had on his radar was, and I think he talked to JR about this, that they've had issues with people cleaning deer up at the roadside park, and he wondered about maybe getting some signs up or something of not cleaning. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I talked to Jim that same day. Didn't we get some? We got something posted up there.
She was working on it.
Yeah, I was thinking she had that done.
Yeah.
Getting something up there so we had something to enforce.
Yeah.
When strange
Anyway,
things
yeah.
happen.
The only thing he had, and I know you said he talked to you guys, I
Mhm.
mentioned it for him, so.
Okay. Okay. New business then. We'll move down, and are we ready to do a call with Justine?
Yeah, she's ready. It shouldn't take too long for this. We've just got another draw for the food pantry that we need to reimburse them for.
You
So
want to set that up, Amanda, since you know how?
You have reached Ashley Morrell.
whoops, that's not right. What number do you have?
737-8163.
That sounds right. Hold on.
Mhm.
It's the same one that was on there. That's the same sticky note.
Hello.
Justine?
Hi.
Hey, it's Amanda.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we've got you on speaker. Hopefully you can hear all of us.
Yeah, I can. So we just need to do a drawdown for the it's not the remaining amount, excuse me, for another amount for the food pantry. So your project is complete as far as the businesses. We just have the food pantry left, and so as they continue getting invoices, we'll continue to do this drawdown. So with that, have you had any concerns or complaints from any business owners or anything like that, or concerns or questions concerning the food portion?
I haven't heard of any.
I haven't heard anything either.
I think everything went very well.
Good, yeah, and it's just automatic deposit, so that's pretty easy to, once it's already in your account, and then you just write the checks and kind of done in that fashion. So that's going good. Well then, tonight, all we have to do is make a motion to approve the drawdown number 2 for the 20-DB-116 project in the amount of $8,452.71.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the payment? Been moved by Cale,
Second.
second by Larry. Do we need to vote on this, or do we need to?
Yeah, I would go ahead and have y'all vote on it.
Okay. Cale?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Okay, it passed.
Okay, so that's all we have. So if Lila can just get that signed and then emailed over to me, I will get that to the state and get you your funds. It's been taking about anywhere from a week to 2 weeks for them to get it processed. So,
Okay, well, we appreciate it very much.
yeah, no problem. Do you guys have any other questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
No?
No. Okay, there's no questions, so thank you for your time again.
Yes, thanks for calling. It makes it a little bit easier than having to drive out there.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you guys have a good night.
You too,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
In your papers there, I had printed off the breakdown of what she was just talking about. It was hard to see on the tablets because it was sideways, so you have it there if you want to look at it.
Okay, well, let's move to our next item, and that's Miller and Associates. So you're up.
Hi, I'm Tyler Homer from Miller Associates. Just come tonight to present, we got our drawings finished, our plans and specs are finished. We're going to come get approval from you guys to go out for bids and start advertising. I have, like I said, a bid date for January 21st. And then we'll award that next week at your second meeting in January. And for the bid date, if it's all right with everybody else, we're going to just, with COVID and traveling and saving a trip, we're just going to try and do the bid online. The contractors can just fill it out through our website, and then we'll just have a Zoom meeting, and JR, whoever wants to call in, just call into the Zoom meeting, we can open them online that way. We've been doing that a lot recently, and it saves a lot of time for everybody. So the bid date of January 21st, completion date of October 1st, 2021. And my first worked up my estimate, we're still at that $1 million to $1.2 million cost. So we're right to where we were in the preliminary estimates, so we should be good as far as funding wise. All of our bids come in good.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? Or the biggest portion of the project, the heaviest construction is probably going to be on Francis between First and Second. That's going to be full tear outs, new 6-inch concrete, new curb and gutter, new sidewalks, everything. That's going to be there. Everything else, we're saving most of the curb and gutter and just doing new asphalt. Is that around the triangle area?
Mhm.
Yeah, right north of that. So hopefully we can clean that area up and make that drainage a lot better through that street. That's probably going to be our messiest section. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Mill the asphalt out and then put some asphalt down and make it look nice. So we're going to replace all of our bad valley gutters, the poor alley aprons that need replaced, curb and gutter sections, all that will be replaced as we go. Any questions?
That tree removal will be part of the bid,
Yes.
part of the contractor's bid,
Yeah.
right? Can you stop there? Okay.
Some of that alley work, is that stuff that we could do with our other stuff, or is this just all part of?
This is all part of the project. That's where we identified all those. That's why we did that separate project, because it's not on streets we're putting the funding for, and just so many of them are behind.
The alley aprons pretty much be new concrete from the curb lines about 10 or 15 feet back. So right at least about we'll put in the
That's the
concrete.
same as what we.
Pretty much, yeah. And it depends on the area, it depends on the pits, it depends on where the sidewalk is. It's kind of certain parts of town, they're quite a bit larger and smaller.
And down Parkway, we're going to tear out that center 8-foot section and put new concrete down the middle for that inverted crown to help with all that drainage through there. So that should help that bit.
The history on that street, even beyond Tyler, there was a time when that thing, due to ice and stuff, it had more patches and stuff on top of things, and it was dug out clear down into the dirt. We re-asphalted that 9 years ago, I'm going to guess, and then even chip sealed it. That trickle water just tears away at that street, so that's an extremely...
Will we tear out that little, right at the section, right where it dumps onto there, because that's all
Yeah,
Oh,
even in that concrete area, he's actually extending that. I think we ended up extending that up towards that, didn't we?
Half forward.
Yeah.
Where that whole intersection gets replaced, I'm gonna put a concrete flow liner all the way up to that culvert height. So it's concrete all the way from the culvert all the way to the street, so you shouldn't have a wash anymore.
Okay, so we just need to make a motion to approve for you to go ahead and get the bidding going.
Yep, once you guys approve it, I'll start advertising some plans out to contractors, and we'll open on January 21st at 2 o'clock.
Okay, moved by Cale, second by Larry, all in favor? Approved, let's get the rolling.
So what is the meeting that we will do on this towards
Monday after that.
the 25th? Okay, so the meeting the 25th is when.
Yeah, we can,
as long as we.
if you have to award that, we'll open on the 21st, and then I'll come to that meeting on the 25th. Anticipate construction, usually the asphalt plants usually start up March, April, and the asphalt plants start up, so once this subcontractor comes in and starts doing the concrete work, it should be good.
Do you think we'll get several bids or just?
I'm hoping since we got it out now, all the asphalt guys, this kind of maybe the planning for next year. Yeah, we're ahead of the game, they get out there in the winter to get everybody to look at it and get on their schedule. The trick's going to be if somebody has an asphalt plant closer than our Colby. Colby's the close line of that unless McCormick or the state has one closer, that might help our pricing. Kind of just depends on the state work and where they're at.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
I'll send you that stuff, so
Okay, Dan, you're up next.
Last meeting I came to, we talked about bunker gear. Lila looked it up, and I guess we put our reserve, is that right, Lila?
Right, $6,000 a year.
Put a reserve. I guess I just want permission to move forward and spend that. I'd like to do that $6,000. I've got one quote right now for $58.78.02. That's for 2 guys. I've got 2 more quotes coming in, but I don't have them yet.
Well, if we already budgeted 6,000 in there, is everybody in agreement that whatever your best bid is, go for it, and go ahead and get it done?
Go ahead and ask for a motion.
So, do I hear a motion to?
I'll move to approve it.
Is that split with the county or?
I'm gonna ask for some from the county too. I'm gonna try and bunker 2 guys out of the 6, and then I'll get money for them, which has to be split between him and the city. And the Burke City already started last year, bunkering and stuff, so. If we do it this way now, then it'll take about 7 years, which a few guys have to do on their bunker gear for when it's time to renew it. But if we do it in 7 years, then we can start over again, and we should have got done with one step here, one step there. And then it should fall in 2 years, and then fall out right, so. We can do it every year.
Okay. It's moved by Larry, second by Amanda, all in favor. Approved. Go ahead.
Okay? That's all we got.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the theater renovation. You got anything on that?
Robert was supposed to be here. I know he's been working on talking to some other people. I'm not sure why he's not here. I know he was trying to secure some other things. I had reported early on that there was a significant bid just in the engineering cost of that, and then $250,000 plus for the overall project. I know he's talked to several people and had good indications without any checks being written. I guess it's more or less just trying to find some support out there prior to coming to the city and asking for it. What his number is that he thinks is appropriate to ask for, I don't know at this point. I know he's had some assurances from some funding, but I would much rather him relay that information than me.
He called this afternoon, he did say he was going to be here, so maybe he's just running late.
He might think he's down the agenda a bit, so I bet he'll come in. I'll text him quick.
Okay, well, let's move on. Anything on property cleanup?
So we continue to have progress on the Swigert property. That's one we talked about the last time. I did have contact with another interested party of the property in reference to the list of items. I just relayed basically what Lauren had told him in their day in court, that was the specific items. We just talked about timeline, but I think their intentions are good, and they continue to make progress on that. The Paulson property, that's another one I think we did get the paper served on that, right? That one remains in violation. I've not had any contact.
Do you know the address on that one off the top of your head? Is it 104? There's a property going up for the, I guess, there's a property going up for the tax sale owned by Tommy Paulson. I saw that in the paper when I was checking it, another legal notice that we were going to...
That would be Whittier Street.
I don't remember. I just remember 104 was the first. Is it 104
Is
Whittier?
that on the tax? Okay.
And so I didn't know how much we want to put into this in the event that it may not be his by the time we get to hearing. It's not going to be set until January.
If that is the case, we should suspend our efforts because we're just wasting
That's
until he would make the taxes good. Yes.
right. I had started to I had commenced preparation of documents to be served in a summons, and I noticed in the paper when I was looking at something else that there's a property owned by Thomas Paulson, which is going up for the tax sale on the 8th of January, and I thought, if we summon him to court and on the 15th he doesn't note it anymore,
That would be
kind of moot.
Okay.
That's when the sale will be, the 8th of January?
That's what it says in the paper. It's for the 8th of January.
Well, again,
So I have suspended my efforts. I pushed pause until I came to the council, and I figured it would be a suspension.
I would totally write it off the radar just because there's been talk of him trying to sell it beforehand to somebody, and even if it's sold, I think we still need it on our radar.
sometimes it is cheap enough to end up with it again anyway. So,
Yeah.
we'll just hold.
We have had notice served, and so I can file. He has not remedied it after written notice was served upon him, so I can file a petition and serve him a summons to answer for an ordinance violation at any point. However, I guess I'm not, until the tax sale occurs, I don't see any point in doing that in the event that it is.
And what we normally do on the Thorn, if they do change hands, we have not had many of those sales over the years. In fact, last 2 years.
We had one last year and the one before that. 2000.
That's right. But they're supposed to be going to stay on the schedule. However, last year when they did do that, we had multiple ones that were on the cleanup list. We do not notify them right away, or I guess we could if we wanted to, but what we've typically done is see what they do with them, unless it's somebody we know has a problem or how bad it is. So if it is a new owner, I guess what I'm saying is we don't go right into the procedure with the new owner right away. We see what they do with it, whether they make an effort.
And that's what I thought is we don't want it off the radar just because it's changing hands. We want to make sure that.
Well, what I was going to ask was, do we want to send just kind of a courteous, like just kind of a courtesy notice to the new owner, not like a hey, you're in violation, just so you know this was on our radar. We understand it's changed hands. We're not going to proceed at this time because you are the new owner, but just so you know that it was. Or obviously give you some leeway, or do you just want me to push pause until I hear?
We did the last year, and it was the first year in 20 years, or 19 years that it had been done. We hit the pause. We had luck with them. I guess that's up to the council, whether we want to notify them that we have started the proceeding or not.
Yeah, and we got
It's kind of a nasty deal to take a property if their
Well,
intent
they
is
have
good.
to
but
know
they-
that they're.
Or, I mean, that's-
Sure.
And
That makes
it's
a
like,
difference.
that's what I'm like, letting them know, hey, it's been on the city's radar.
That's kind of what I was thinking, just send them a nice letter stating, this has been on our radar, we're not going to proceed. We understand you're a new owner, we're going to have some leniency, however.
I guess let's just wait till after this one and see
Okay.
what happens.
That works.
Yeah. Okay, Robert.
Darren Lyle wanted to come and talk to you guys about the theater. And basically, I've been thinking about this. The theater building, according to our website, is 71 years old, which means that the building has got some problems. And I can list those for you, the ones we know about. But the bottom line is it's an old building and it's showing safe. The way I see it, we have three choices. We can build a new one, which has some real advantages. We can renovate the old one, or we can do nothing. Doing nothing is going to work less and less well because it's going to just keep having the same problems that old buildings have, including wiring and sealing and all those things. Building a new one would have some interesting possibilities. Instead of having 220 seats, we could put 100 seats in. We could make the bathrooms bigger and better and ADA compliant, which they aren't now. We could improve the concession area so that we could sell different types of food and, a broader range of food. Right now, there's not even running water in the concession area, which I'm actually amazed that KBHC lets us do that. We have a bigger log area, you can get rid of the balcony, which is popular for a lot of people, but it's not really necessary when at most people have 100 people come to the movie with 212 seats. So that's an option B. I think building a new one has there are some questions you have to answer to yourself. Like, first of all, what do you do with the old one? And according to these guys in Burlington that I talked to, they say it's harder to get funding for new construction than it is renovation. Do you know anything about that, JR?
Sorry, what was that?
The guys in Burlington say that funding, like, is harder to get for new construction than it is renovation.
I hadn't heard.
Okay, I'm just pointing that out as something they told me. I don't know how true it is. I think that we can get, or I assume that we can get grant funding from Dave Hanson. I only assume that because every other time we've asked them, they said yes. We've never asked them for this much money, but I get the feeling that they want to give money out to small communities and work those communities. So, the only way to get from whether we're going to build a new one or renovate the old one, the only way to get there is to have a detailed, explicit plan, something that takes into account the ADA requirements, the requirements of a public building, the type of specialized acoustics that you need in a theater. This isn't something, I guess what I'm saying is I don't see this as a good old boy project because it needs to be a public facility and a theater. So, if you're going to go out and ask somebody for money, they're going to want to know exactly what you're going to do and exactly how much it's going to cost. And the only way to do that is to hire an engineering firm, that I know at least. So, City's talked to an engineering firm. They have come back and said they would do it for $26,000, which is a fair amount of money. I talked to Bill Keller in Pratt because I was kind of just wanting to see, where he was at on helping out the project like this. And he said that in Pratt, they're trying to build a new theater, a fourplex. And the reason they're building a fourplex, even though Pratt isn't that big, is because that gives you some huge opportunities. You can show not just one movie, 3 or 4 different ones at the same time, which means that the movie companies like it better, and you like it better, because on any given weekend, there's something for everybody. And you can only show one movie, if it's an R-rated movie, or if it's a animated movie, there's a certain segment of the people that just aren't interested. If you can have a fourplex, there's something for everybody that can all come out. So it has this synergy that you have to understand. But I asked him, I said, so how much is the engineering cost? Because I was curious. And he said, well, it's $30,000. And I said, wait a minute, you're building a $4 million, $3.9 million theater for $30,000 in engineering costs? And he said, no. That's just for the drawings that we have. He says, and they're really nice drawings. And I said, so how much is the engineering? And he said, hold on a second. And he looks it up, and it's $90,000. So they're going to spend $120,000 for a $4 million, $3.9 million new construction in Pratt. So that gives you, I guess what I'm saying is that we need the feeling that $26,000 is probably not that far off of what is a fair price for engineering. I think then Tom Small came up and talked to me, and he said, Greater Northwest Kansas is, for another year or so, every 6 months they can give out $10,000 to projects in the county. And he said, if you guys want to apply for it. And he couldn't say any more than we would look at it fondly, but I got the feeling that he was saying that if the city would apply for $10,000 from Greater Northwest Kansas and be going on it, we could probably get that money. We got the First National Bank, FNB Bank, gave us $3,000 here several months ago, just as a generous donation to the theater. We used that one. So the math there is that we have, if we can get a $10,000 from Greater Northwest Kansas and we got $3,000, we have exactly half of the $26,000 that the engineers want. The problem, of course, is when you spend $26,000 with the engineers and they give you a plan, all you've got is a PDF file, a piece of paper. You don't have a building. But I don't see any way to get from here to there. If you don't have that plan, nobody's going to give you the grant money to build a building. Even if you had the money, you still need a plan because you can't just go avoid it. You need this plan. So that's where we're at. If we want to do this, we need to hire the engineers, get them going as soon as possible, and then apply, I think, to Dave Hanson first. And if they say yes, we're good to go. And if they say no, then we need to find somebody else. I don't know who that is, but they're all in for money. They aren't the only ones in the world. And I think that's it in a nutshell. If we do nothing, the building keeps getting older, the water is, I don't want to be a scaremonger here, but I always think if I ever drive down the street and see smoke coming out of the building and the fire engine heading that way, the first thing I'm going to think is the electrical. We should have fixed the electrical. I mean, it's really bad. It's we're turning stuff off and on by flipping breakers. I mean, that's what we do.
And that's the way it was built. Yeah, like it was actually built that way.
Right.
It's just antiquated to modern systems.
71 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It worked fine. I think the main objective we're really, what we're asking for right now is for the city, being the owner of the property, to apply for the $10,000 with the understanding that there will be $13,000 shortfall in getting that. In other words, if we get the $10,000, they've got the $3,000, then basically, if the city says it's okay, if the city applies for that, then we would be committing to $13,000 from the city budget to move forward.
I agree. I mean, that's well said. That's it.
What's everybody's thoughts?
So is this the building that we can't mess with? Because we can't.
No, it's not on the historical register. A lot of the intent on this thing just so you understand, is to keep the aesthetics of it, to keep the look that it has, but try to improve on the ADA. There's some things that we don't have to come 100% into compliance with. If we did, it's a white off of the whole thing. So, yeah, and the intent is to keep the general.
You just have to gut the entire place.
You would, yeah. I don't know that you could fit in that.
But they did in Burlington because their problem there was what Jay was saying. To be ADA compliant, apparently, you have to have enough room or radius of 10 or 12 feet so you can roll a wheelchair around there. And our bathrooms are maybe, if we got the interior walls and if you steal that utility closet in the men's bathroom, you might be able to do that. Or you can steal width from the lobby. The lobby's already too narrow. What they did in Burlington was they bought the building next door, which in this case would probably be the insurance building, knocked a hole in the wall, and used that entire space for their concession area, and for their, I don't know if it's for their bathrooms or not, but they fundamentally stole space from next door because it's a real problem. We don't even know for sure, but we think, I mean, you think that these engineers think that they can, with the existing space, make this work, right?
What we can do is make the accommodations for the minor shortfalls in the ADA, the assistance to the area, like those things, yes.
So we've got a ramp to get up into the
If we were
auditorium.
doing new construction, I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. If we were doing new construction, we have zero choice on this. Because it's existing and you're making it better, we can make the accommodations for that. That's kind of
But then what about the roof?
what's that?
The roof's the other problem, right?
It is not. The ceiling tiles are a problem. The roof is not. The roof is all that hard rubberized system that was put on. First year I was here, that thing was solid. Heating and air conditioning was updated. That's in pretty good shape as well. Was it 80?
Probably, and actually that's a really good point. If you bought a new one, and I know nobody's talking about that, but I thought about this, we could steal the seats, which cost us 30 or 40 grand. We could take out the projector and the sound system, which cost us 90 or 100 grand. We could take I think we could reuse the screen, which is $5,000. So if you build a new one, you actually could, and I don't know if you can move the HVAC or not, I just don't know. But a lot of the stuff, obviously, you couldn't move the roof. The ceiling tiles are a major problem. And the other reason, let me just circle back over quickly. The other reason to do all this at once is, if you go in there and do the ceiling tiles and close it for 3 weeks, and then you go in there, take all the seats out and put carpet down, because it needs carpet underneath the seats, then you go in there and put stuff on the walls, and then you go in there and rewire it. You close it 4 times for 3 weeks at a time, it's closed for half a year. Whereas if you would just go in and take the seats out so you could put scaffolding in so you could do the ceiling while you had the seats out, then you could take the scaffolding out and put the carpet down. Meanwhile, somebody could put wiring in. You could do this in one fell swoop and be done with it. But that means that you can't do it drip by dribs and drabs. That means it's, I don't know, my wild guess is it's $250,000 deal. But I have no way of knowing. As far as I know, nobody knows because that's what we know. This is going to cost. And, right? I mean, am I being pessimistic about $250,000?
No, not at all. Okay. No. And I think that the city has an obligation to recognize the issues one of its buildings has, and that there's a solution for that and funding to go after out there. Nothing else. We have a good plan, and hopefully funding becomes available. It can't remain a public building in the state it's in for decades. That's not what's going to happen with that building if we don't get started. Primarily electric, title, safety for the public, those kind of things. They're right in front of us.
So if I understand what you're saying, the city would need to come up with the other half of that?
First, the city applies for that funding and to the local foundation. In doing that, in that application, you're most likely going to have to state that the city is putting up half this, and we're applying, for this to get the engineering to move forward and then seek further funding once the project is completely designed and drawn out.
So it's still come back to being contingent on the grant?
Right.
Yes, unless the city would decide that, the city would trail on the local grant. If that's what you're saying, yeah.
Well,
The
do you
historic
mean
would decide.
now or after we get this?
After,
Yeah.
once, I mean,
Right, that's the thing here. The first step is to spend $26,000, hopefully $13,000 out of the city, $13,000 out of pension funds to get this PDF. Without that design, we're dead in the water. And if Dane Hansen just says, fine, here's the money, why don't you guys go do this, that'll be wonderful. If they don't, we still got that PDF to go to the next person and say, we're trying to do this, we've got a plan, this is exactly what we need. I mean, it is the key to getting to the next step of the project, but there's no guarantees, and frankly, I think we're lucky to get this kind of funding. Nobody ever wants to finance your plan, they want to, they don't mind after you have a plan, helping you build it, but this step is the hard step, so I think we're lucky to have. And Bill Keller did tell me, he didn't make any hard commitments, but he said, look, I want to help with this. When you guys get this plan, I can't say, he didn't say it out loud, but I'm pretty sure that he'll pay for all the electrical. He'll provide us with that portion of it. So we've got that. And then, I don't know, maybe Bird City would probably use this.
See, and I don't think you were right on the dead in the water. If you get the $26,000 spent in the engineering done, then the city has a plan to address the electrical, to address the extremely important things. Say we decide we can't get funding, we still know those things have to be done on the city building. We have the information to move forward bid and get electrical work done. If we decide that's so important we can't wait for funding, then we have that in place to do that, and we can piece it together if that was to become the case. I don't think it will be. I think these kind of projects fit the Greater Foundation, or the Hanson Foundation quite well. It's extremely important to our community. So in the event we wouldn't be able to reach that funding, it still has a lot of value to us.
And that's a good part. That's a good point. I've been thinking in terms of doing this all at once because I hate the idea of closing.
It's a much better way to go.
I agree with that.
Right. Even if we just want to do the electrical, it's so much easier to go to a local electrician and say, this is exactly what we need, give us a bid. Otherwise, you go in and you say, well, we got this and this, and we don't know exactly what we need. We need a detailed plan from engineers. That's what we need.
Do you have a location? Ideas?
For what, a new building?
For a new building.
Well, I have no idea, no. One of the things that they did in Burlington, so what they told me was, they said that their funding, which of course was not Dane Hansen because it's in Colorado, so I may, it may be apples and oranges, but they said the real problem was nobody wanted to give them a new building. They would only renovate the old building. So what they did was, this guy just basically did it to me. They just basically gutted the old building, tore everything out, and he said we might have kept one or two 2x4s and a couple of bricks on the wall. But essentially, we just had a hole in the ground. That one brick was the old building, and they said we're renovating it. But what they did was they just built a new building in the old hole. That's what they actually did.
But that project is 5 times the figure, too.
If you ever get a ratio,
we didn't. But if you just use the ratio what you're talking about in Pratt,
Well, the cost of tearing that one all apart, too.
exactly. That one to me is just not in the realm of possibility. I know it obviously is this building is structurally sound. All these things can be done within it, and it would seem to me to be inappropriate to attempt to build a new one when we don't have a building that's failing. We have a building that has some workings that are failing or in need of work.
Yeah, I think we're better off trying to keep this and move it over. Because more people will be for that than ever a new building. And where would we find it? You'd like for it to be downtown. Where are we going to find that lot? There isn't any lot right now.
I bet it would cost you more than that figure to renovate this thing to remove it.
Yeah.
A lot more. And then you're talking about, then you go to building. It just seems.
Plus, who obligated to at least point out that that is an option.
Yeah.
Yes, I would be in favor of moving forward to see if we can get, you know, split the bill for the engineering and then we have the rest of it, just know what we need done and
But if we apply for that, we're gonna have to apply that, we're gonna fund the other 13,000. If we get the 10,000 for the grant was approved, so we're gonna have to already basically make a motion that we're going to spend the other 13,000.
Where would it have to come from?
Capital improvement. And so capital improvement's going to look pretty good at the end of the year when we do our year-end transfers. Right now, there's about 139,000. But I'd have to look at the budget, but we always do transfers into capital improvement. And then with that said, we now also have a sales tax fund for other capital improvements like the streets, where money from the original capital improvements would have gone for streets. It can now be used. It's kind of freed up for things like this, in my opinion.
We have the money.
Yeah.
The sensitivity to this thing is simply this. When I got this, with this price tag on it for just engineering, knowing the streets, the electrical, and all those things, I told Robert I thought he should attempt to get some assurances prior to coming to the city and saying, this is $26,000, what do you think? It seems to me like you put us in a position of applying for money, which would be contingent. You know, if we don't get it, then you have another decision to make. So,
I'd like to take credit for that. Well, to be fair, Tom Small came to me and said, we'll give you 10,000. So, I mean, we got lucky there.
Yeah, we're not, I think the chances are very in favor of us, but, yeah, I think we need to move forward because every day it deteriorates. You know, and it's been doing it for 71 years, and we're at that point where, you know, another 5 or 10 years close the doors because you can't do anything in there.
just one of the motions to go ahead and approve to move forward to get funding, the city funding the bill for the 13,000 or whatever. Funding.
Okay, Amanda made the motion, do I hear a second? Second by Dale, all in favor? Approved. Okay, well, we'll get something wrote up and get it into them.
I think Lila, you're the one that has to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll help you any way I can, but they told me, they specifically said you should do it.
just for the record, the actual cost of engineering is $26,200. That's the number that was put there.
So we put in 13.2. Yeah. Okay, motors will.
It's through this shape. Because it's internal structuring, it looks like a separate.
So 13,200 in that motion.
Yeah.
Even that detail, I don't want to take well, look, sooner is better than later, because right now, what I'm going to do, this is the time to do it. It's going to cost us less in terms of lost revenue now, because our revenue's down 50%. Then about another year, and hopefully there'll be movies out, and everybody's going to be going to the movies. So, it'd be nice to move fast.
If we can get it moving.
Yeah. Right, well, I don't know any reason, I mean,
It'd be nice to.
right.
And the place as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I got. Okay.
So what Robert said, Lila, write that up tomorrow.
I don't have anything else to
What are you doing tonight?
I will be in touch, Robert.
Yeah, that's fine, I'll help you any way I can, you know. And I think we need to, at some point, I mean, we did put an ad in the paper, thanking the FNB, but we probably need to give them another, you know, bit of recognition, because they, you know, it's a really nice thing to give the paper to them. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, well, let's move on to projects pending. brother on the seating on the bench, or?
He was here. He was sick last week after coming here, and then he got sick and did not get back. But I was actually supposed to have numbers tonight. He's come and looked at it. He thinks we can work with it, and he said it's going to be a job. But I don't have the numbers.
Who is it that's looking at it?
He's from Fort Collins, I believe. Brock was here and met with him and looked at it. So we are getting closer.
Good.
On the transparent vendor ordinance review, Lila pointed out, I have left in chief of police just because I know the contract with the sheriff, and my understanding was that they are acting as our police, and so I left in chief of police for the two sections that I had amended. Lila pointed out it was throughout the rest, and so we may not want chief of police in there. There are several sections where I guess I would like to direct the attention of the council. I had sent out another email just now with a link to the online version of the full Section 5 for the full Chapter 5 of the ordinances. And I guess if I could direct your attention to just several sections. The first one is 5-104, which is one of them that I had amended. There is, sorry. And this is 5-104 is amended. So, Lila, do you have the ability to do background checks? Is that
Yes.
my understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're through the city clerk's office.
So, 104 then would say the city clerk shall cause an investigation of the facts stated therein. So we would strike through that of the chief of police, who will, for B and C, that would just be city clerk instead of chief of police. My question on this comes, 5-104C and 5-105C are both the same, where the clerk shall keep permanent record of all such licenses issued and submit a copy of such license to the chief of police. This is done for, I guess, enforcement purposes, so if we say somebody doesn't have a permit, they can check whether there's a permit or not, and because they will issue a citation in violation of the ordinance. So I guess if Lila can do the background check and she'll be the one taking the photos and everything, I guess my question is, do we need to amend that to shall provide it to the sheriff's office?
Or law enforcement or something, yeah.
General law.
Okay.
We ever went back to a police force that we and then again, just say law enforcement.
Don't say that.
Yeah,
I won't be here.
20 years down the road or something.
Okay, so law enforcement will be there. I guess it was going to be in 109 and 110 also, but if we just put law enforcement, 109 deals with denial or revocation, suspension of the license. The city clerk or chief of police may deny an application or may revoke or suspend for a period not to exceed 30 days. And so I would just put the city clerk may deny any application, and the city clerk or law enforcement may revoke or suspend, because the police would no longer be denying. Any person aggrieved by the action of law enforcement or the city clerk in the denial of an application. So it would be the city clerk in denial of an application, or law enforcement or the city clerk in the revocation or suspension of a license. So I will make those changes to general law enforcement, which means that I will need to revise, in addition to the two sections. I tried to not revise the whole ordinance, but it looks like the ordinance is going to need to be revised for sections 5103, 5104, 5105. 5106 can stay the same, 5107 has already been amended, 5109 and 5110 will be all of the sections to be amended. And so I will, those are fairly simple revisions, I still have to put them in, but they're fairly simple, so I should have those for the council at the next meeting. We talked previously that sections 5104 and 5105 could have been combined because there's no longer a difference in an application between a resident and a non-resident. Everyone is the same because fees are addressed under 107. And so despite the fee difference between a resident and a non-resident of the county, then the fees are addressed in 107. I did not do that. I just put 104 for investigation and issuance for county residents rather than just issuance because it previously didn't require an investigation for county residents. 104 and 105 read the same with the exception of who is a current resident, and then 105 says who is not a current resident. And the reason for that is that if we're going to take out one, we need to renumber the ordinances, and so I think we're doing enough changing, we might as well keep the ordinances numbered as is unless council wants me to remove it and renumber the ordinances. Okay, so I will make those changes and I will resubmit for our meeting at the end of the month on the 28th, and I will send that to Lila. Those are small changes, so I should be able to get that to her promptly, and so we can get that on the 28th, and I will ask the paper if we can make publication. If the council, if it's finalized, the council approves it. If we can make publication. I know that with the holiday they may be doing, I don't know what the deadline would be, but I will submit it to the council for their approval.
Anything else on project spending?
I think you could remove the internet hotspots. Are we ever going to do this? The way cell phones and data work? That was kind of a different deal at that time.
Yeah, it kind of got brought up.
Or they got
Kind of-
brought out. What's that?
It got brought up and it was kind of a real fast deal and then it was just kind of awful.
And Eagle's not Eagle anymore.
Exactly, they got bought by a big company. I mean, they were the ones kind of pushing for it, and I just don't see.
I'm for taking it off there.
I am too. I mean, we've got the library, the museum, they're all over the place.
Hey, let's take it off. Everybody agrees.
Have we gone any further with the KDOT thing? The last one we talked about
I have been for the right of way. I have attempted to reach out to a couple individuals who I think may be able to help us with it. I've played phone tag with one and not heard back from another, but my understanding is that where we're needing to look is our areas of larger population. And one of the offices, my understanding is, had been hit by COVID, and they've had employees out. And so they're coming up on their end of the year, and I, in all honesty, think that's probably going to be tabled until January. I would be shocked if I was able to I would be shocked if between the 4th of December and the 28th of December I was able to get anyone getting any traction on this. So
The main thing is to keep it in there for the simple fact that along about spring is when our public really starts reminding us about those things.
yes.
Those things. So as long as we're catching it after the first of the year, I think that's...
Yeah, it's still on, like I said, I've reached out. I will follow up, but I think it's probably going to be into January before we get any meaningful
That's the way everything goes about.
information, yes. So-
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. If there's nothing else there, we'll move on to street project, which we've already talked about that, unless you have something else.
No, there's nothing in addition moving forward.
Building permits.
We're on the drive. I don't remember how many I had. Do you have copies of them?
Oh, here, I do. I made them and forgot to give them to you, so.
No issue with them.
Hear a motion to approve the building permits.
So moved.
Moved by Amanda. Second by Larry. All in favor? Building permits approved. Superintendent report.
I already mentioned that the guy had been here for the band shell. We really expect to have some numbers by the next meeting. Again, I would caution that say that it would be pretty complicated. We'll see what we get. This isn't just a removal. This would be a removal and preparation for be it another coating or concrete replacement. So we should have the whole picture with this thing. We'll see. The Barnes tree service bed, there was some concern as to completion time. If you look in the lower left corner, I brought that concern to his attention, and he wrote the work to be completed within 3 weeks of a crew to do that. And of course, we would only pay in full upon completed work. So I think in the last meeting we said we wouldn't go ahead until we had that assurance. So we'll need a motion if we decide to go with them.
Okay. Do we hear a motion to go ahead with Barnes tree removal for removing the trees?
And how much was that?
$3,306.
And that's how many trees?
Remove 2 trees, grindstones, remove 1 tree, leaf stump, 3 feet. That one is not going to happen. I'm actually going to end up adding a $50 stump grinding on that one. Approve this and I'll amend that small piece of work. This is next to the
Park up there.
where they're going to put the Veterans Memorial and the dog park. Mostly. I mean, it's kind of concentrated in that area because we have things going on.
Those trees all need to be taken out anyway. So
And we're actually leaving some that are a little questionable because I finally remembered to talk to Terry Swire first. But yeah, we're going to need to have a tree plan, a replacement up there as well. What's that? I didn't know. I can't hear you. You're breaking up.
yeah, I mean, all over up there. I mean, even in the big area of Roadside Park, we do that.
So this is kind of the reason I'm just prioritizing this area first, and the local contractors, to see if we can get some work done where we know we have some work going on, but with the greater picture being, yes, we need to go through the entire properties, trim trees, and remove some other ones. And maybe
So do I hear a motion on Barnes tree removal to work on those trees and moved by Cale? Second by Larry. All in favor? Approved.
Okay, I don't remember what the deadline on the work was, but I asked Ed Marin for an update on the touchless equipment for all the restrooms and the soap dispensers and the toilets and all that stuff. He's done with everything except toilets. He's got to get some additional Sloan valves and parts and things for those. I told him to go ahead and have everything written up for his completed cost. Did we receive the funding?
No,
And
I have
we
to
need that
have-
to apply.
Well, we have to have that, we have to have it done by the end of the year.
But that's where we're at. We're going to have it done, but just, and that's why I was checking in with him. So he's going to have it all, everything all wrote up. As soon as the valves are in, then he will present us that once that work is done, unless you want it prior, because it's going to be the
If I can get it prior,
That's what I asked for. He said he would have that. What's that?
The sooner the better.
Yes, and that's why I told him, go ahead and make it out as if it's completed. We can get that in the clerk's office, and you tell me when the work is actually completed.
Yes.
Because it's actually kind of a small amount of the work that we're going to be waiting on, but we will meet the deadline.
if we just even just show, if we're waiting on something, we just need to show this is the work that's done, this is what we're waiting on. We just have to be able to prove that, and then we get our funding.
So he wasn't able to get it tonight, because I called him today, but he should have it in the next day or two, and then we'll have that.
I just get a little nervous.
Final work done. No.
It's my understanding it has to be installed by December 30th.
Unless it's a part,
Get the equipment.
yes. That's what I've been told. If it's a supply chain issue,
But we don't have that. He just has to get additional valves, and he will. He said he will have them.
Was he putting
You
in
heard
the
different.
shower doors and all that stuff too?
it's not what I've been told.
Okay, well, she's
Is that part of it?
so,
Was that part of his funds? Was it?
but
I'm
she's
sorry.
told you that as long as we get it.
You should have looked at it.
And you know that I talked to her this morning, and there's some possible extension.
Was it?
Sure.
Okay.
Every state.
And doors on the
Exactly.
restroom is down there.
And so they're
Because
going to talk
of
about it.
privacy down here and at the roadside park.
I'll try to get something in writing.
Because we was
I had to
talking,
ask him about that. I kind of forgot about that.
because we was talking about some kind of
There's at least the
doors, privacy.
major vendors.
I'll find out more about that, but making sure we have the funding properly. That was what I was concerned about, so we get
Yeah.
a deadline coming out.
Yeah.
But I would make sure that that ends before the DSAP submission notice.
As soon as I get it,
Which I think she's, I think we're okay, because she had been in contact with her, she kind of knows.
Yeah, she
Number
knows
one,
where
like,
we're at.
I think she's pretty comfortable there with what the city, the work the city is providing.
We did get all of our portable hand sanitizer stations, 6 of them that we ordered. I haven't got them put together yet, but there'll be one in here and then one up in front of the office, and then the other 4 are just available as needed.
And those could be, like, we needed the other two for big events in the park.
Yes.
That's what we have for events going on.
Yep. So there's 6 total. Yeah.
So what all was involved in, because I remember we was talking about epoxying the bathroom floors, so it'd be easier to clean and take care of. That won't be able to be done this spring. Because there's
We're
no
just
way.
going to have to go with, we have the material. We're just going to have to submit.
Do we have to get the epoxy paint on?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure we'll have the material. I just forgot about this. That part of it, because we was all hung up on this stuff, but that was part of it.
Was that
She said
part of the,
everything is complete except those that has to, not can be fixed.
that was part of the original bid, because I don't remember seeing that.
We talked, I know we talked to him about adding those things, and I know we measured.
I don't know if we really ever talked to Ed about the floors, but I know shower enclosures for the showers and, none of these women are gonna, even the men, I mean, it's wide open. Ed, you go in there and sit down to stool. But, especially was up there and over here.
Yes, it was supposed to be, the doors were supposed to be, and I thought that was part of Ed's.
Yeah.
It is, I think.
But the floors, I don't remember seeing anything about
Yeah,
that.
I don't know about the floors either, but.
I'll get more details on it, but as it sits right now, he said everything is going to set.
Of course, if we get all this other paperwork, we can surely come up with enough epoxy paint and floors to finish this project.
Yeah, okay. I'll get some more details on that, and we will crunch our timeline together. Again, at least we're talking about it now instead of plenty of time. All right.
You're trying to give give you a heart attack.
No, I'm trying to keep you from having a heart attack. I brought it up. The next item I have is CIC is the software we use, Lila uses in her office. And we've used a time card system that involves logging in on a computer. Each individual has a sign-in to clock in as opposed to the old paper clock in. It works fine for the most part until everybody's there at once or until you get an on-call call. And there is an option, and I think we talked about that when we first started this thing, but it's basically a phone app. And access is granted to the individual's cell phone where they can clock in on their own phone. And saying that, first thing you think is, well, what can they do to, fudge the time clock or do this or do that? Nothing. And how is it? There's tracking on the phone. It makes it easy for them to do it. I mean, if they're a block away clocking in, coming to the plant, you know it. It says it. And if they're on call and they get a call to go out, they'll have an exception. We'll know that's why they were doing it. So there's all this security built into it. Everybody that uses it loves it. I called CIC today to find out some more information on it. They were actually surprised we didn't do it to start with. I think Lila and I both were just thinking to start into this thing, let's just have it log on the computer. I think that works fine in an office setting, but I want more functionality. I want them to be able to do that on their own cell phones. So it's a one-time cost of $799, and there's no maintenance fee on it. Everything, the support goes through all of the other CIC, and I would advise the city council to approve me going ahead with that.
How many logins, is that enough logins?
That's up to 20.
Okay, that's enough.
We won't do it here because there's no need for it here.
And there'd be no need like,
I would advise against it at the pool. There's no need for it there. I think
there's really no need anywhere else.
It's a little different where we go out at 3 o'clock in the morning or this or that, or, I don't see it being necessary anywhere else.
How do you clock it on call time now? How do you clock it?
Write it in, or else you go down to the plant before you go to the identify where you're doing. It's a write-in.
But does it happen enough to justify $800?
Yes. And just part of that is the fact that your computer, half the time you guys are waiting to clock in over there.
that is a bit of an
It's
issue.
just a pain. I mean, they're messing around with the computer to log on to it. Sometimes it's slow, but they can just do it individually at the same time, and it's a one-time cost.
Sounds similar to the problem we had at the pool. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. You don't need it at the pool.
I'm hesitant to do it with part-time seasonal employees putting an app on their phone. We can disable it. We talked about that. It's not like they would have the app and could do anything once they've been disabled, but it just, I think the opportunities for abuse are there, possibly. I don't know.
I just think it's the functionality. We've proven in using the one login, the one computer with the login, that it's a clog up. It's a matter of convenience. But it's quite a matter of inconvenience the way
Like
it's
the county uses it for EMS, for those guys that are logging in, that are on their way out in a hurry.
So you could literally have all you guys come in at the same time and everybody on the phone in the morning instead of being on the computer.
And it will ping when you're logging in.
And they get their own information because right now you have to go to that one computer to look at what your sick time is, what your accrued vacation time is. You get all that information is available to the individual. They get their own information on their own device. They're not sharing a device to have access to that.
Which you could access that on other computers.
We only have one computer with access to it, and it's my desktop now because the laptop quit working.
Did it? Oh.
It did. It's gotten, we have to shut it down 2 or 3 times while they're logging in, so I just started using one in my office.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Kayla has made the motion to approve it. Do I hear a second? Second by Amanda. All in favor? Approved.
Next item I have is not greatly important, but yes, it is, since we wrote an ordinance putting numbers on buildings. I thought maybe Lila and I talked about this a little bit, and I think we can just do vinyl numbers like in the window here. Just put in the larger numbers and just the number. If we want to put in East Washington or whatever, I guess I'm kind of looking for input. The pool, we're talking to Colby Sign, like getting some standoff, nice, bigger letters to go on the Denison side. No, it's the Washington side. We gave that a Washington address. And so we're looking at some more decorative ones on that. But as far as the city office, the power plant, I think just getting vinyl numbers in the windows, is that okay?
And the theater.
And the theater, yeah, and the museum, the motorcycle museum, city of that building. But do we have any problem with that? I think
Anybody
that's
here in town do the final
I
numbers?
think somebody said Allison
I
does
was going
that.
to say Allison.
Mhm.
Does she? Okay, good. Good, because we need to, there'd be several places that could put it in their windows.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
don't want to drill into brick or metal or whatever and stuff.
Well, that's the way it is on the old firehouse, and I thought that's what we do, just get the bigger vinyl numbers, just put them in a plain block, that way it's at least a reference for somebody going by or whatever the case would be.
What
But-
about bathrooms,
What's that?
like bathrooms, Riverside Park, like up there on the highway, museum, are they separate addresses, or don't have an address, or it's hard to imagine somewhere?
No address. I guess the EMS building is probably another one.
Well, but the county,
Leases it, so we still own the building. I forgot about that.
yeah,
Whatever the case, we was trying to identify the ones we need to get numbers on. We're telling people to put these numbers on, we need to get the numbers on. So that's why I was talking about it. But what I thought is wherever it was practical to put on the letter size that we're requiring on the door of access on the proper side of the city buildings to use vinyl, and the pool I thought should maybe use something more decorative and larger, more important than anything. I mean, the funny thing is the pool's not the one. If there's an emergency there, they go to the pool. Where's the pool? Nobody's going to know about that. So I don't know. Maybe that's overkill for it.
Do we need to bring up the call on the people that already have numbers on their
So that's
houses?
just a matter of enforcement. There's been some questions. I already have numbers on there for if they're this or that. I think where they're clearly marked, they're identified. I think what we tell them is if you replace them, make sure they're the proper size. If it's easily identifiable in the right place, there is no sense. I'm not going to
Because I figure they're kind of grandfathered in.
Yeah, I like hearing that.
Because if they have 3-inch numbers already there, and like JR said, if you can read them from the street, we leave them alone. But if they ever replace them, please go to 4-inch.
And that's what I've told the ones that have gotten a hold of me. Another strange thing about this that's come about is the Highway 36 or the frontage road businesses. Those have side street address. That's the weirdest thing. Like the liquor store, for instance, Saney Liquor, it's got a River Street address, and it clearly faces north. And he asked me, what do I do? I said, well, you put it on the Adams Street side, because when somebody's looking for that address, whether it be delivery, emergency, or whatever, and they get a 5 whatever South Adams, it needs to be visible on Adams Street. It's strange that those are addressed that way up there.
There's several around town.
What's that?
Said there's several around town that are like that.
Mm-hmm. And they just need to be on the street side. I know it refers to the facing of the building or the facing street, but the facing street is the one that their address is tied to, unless it's changed. Because you couldn't put whatever South Adams on that liquor store and have it make sense for what we're doing this for. It doesn't make sense. So, anyway, back to the letters. Is that okay if I'll just get a price on those. We won't go ahead with those from the Colby sign. But, with that brick rough like that, obviously we'd either have to put up a sign and stick them on there, which I think would look tacky, or put some, shadow numbers on the thing, nothing too extravagant.
And out here at Calicraig, they might be able to build some numbers too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could probably touch something.
Yeah.
Out of metal.
I'll be cutting my own.
Will you?
Yeah. I have plasma cutter like I did on my shop. I do the same thing on copper shops. So. Anybody wants some?
I was gonna say, you wanna make some for me?
Sure.
And actually, that's all I have.
I guess since we're on, I had a complaint on not getting the streets cleaned with the snow and the ice today.
And what would you do with it? I mean, we put gravel down on it.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
I don't know, but it's the same one that always complains. And he wants to bring his tractor out and do it if we're not going to do it. And I said, no, we don't want you out there with your tractor, because if things get tore up, then, no, I don't know. He acts like as soon as you see a snowflake, we're supposed to stand there 24/7 and keep it off, but.
Our standard is 3 inches or more for removal to take it off, and then anything else, when it gets slick, we get glazing, we put down salt and sand. This is primarily on the south side. Anywhere else, it's going to be
Right.
slushy at the same time. But
Have we put any sand down
we did today.
today?
Mhm.
Okay. What time? Because he came and saw me about 4 o'clock.
I'm not sure if we went down that far. I know we did this block right here. They called, and then we did the city office, because they had called the city office, said it was slick, and of course it's like, it is. Nobody noticed it. It was just that little strip where it had thawed and come around the corner.
But his trouble is, it's a lot of older people are going in there, because it's a pharmacy.
But the thing about it is, we're not going to remove it. The problem
I know.
isn't what falls there. It's when it thaws on the sunny side, runs around and makes the ice. I mean,
Yep.
we can't
So he's been that
address
way,
that.
for
Yeah.
ever, so.
Where's the AC corner in front of the?
Well, all the way down,
Just
you know,
south side of the street.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's all
from
shaded.
here all the way down, because at this time of the year, even if the sun comes out Wednesday and it gets up to 45 or 50, it's not going to do anything over there, because it's in the shade.
Well, and I don't mean to sound defensive about it either. I don't. I mean, it is a problem. It is a safety issue, and we try, when we get into patterns of it melting and coming around there, we'll take the grader down there and actually try to dig as it gets further out, and we try to chip that stuff out. But you can't get
Does
it
a lot
to
of
thaw.
damage.
You can't. And the next issue you have is putting the salt and sand down, and this is very true. When you have to put that down over and over, the next complaint is they're tracking salt and sand into the business. It's a hard one to deal with when it gets to be a problem. This one, again, we got called on it. I didn't think we had enough. We went down and looked at it. Yes, we do have a slickness problem, and we put some stuff down.
I guess all I can say that we can do is just keep putting enough sand and salt down in front of the businesses on that side of the street, because once it freezes up, it can get pretty warm, 60 degrees out, and it's not going to thaw anything over there because of the shade.
Well, if you remove the snow from the ice, it actually works. Sometimes it's better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's different from one time to the next, too. I guess what I'm trying to say is we do the best we can with it. We did have some slick spots this morning. We got called on it. I just didn't think we had enough on the ground for it to be a problem, but it had thawed enough to do it.
Yeah. Anyway, guess we'll just try to keep sand on those spots. Okay, do I hear a motion to accept and file?
Quick question for Jared. The security light at the pool, is it out?
It is. Actually, the circuit's out. It's live, but we think it might have taken a lightning hit.
Okay, well, and I know you and I talked about this, we've had some complaints about it being too bright. Is there any way that can be, I don't know, shined down a little more or back towards the building?
What I'm considering doing is fixing it so it works during the time we need the security lights and not having it on at all the rest of the time. I don't think there's a need for a security light year-round in there, do you? I think the only real interest in that being tampered with is when there's water in it.
Sure.
My intent is to fix it, make it work, turn it off, and turn it on when we're in service, when we're running the season. That's my intent.
But can it still be toned down any?
Yeah, we probably could. I mean, we talked, Dan mentioned that, he said, apparently you had talked to him about getting an LED on that one side.
Or something, I mean.
We can see.
I've had a couple different complaints of it. But anyway,
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept and file the superintendent report?
So moved.
Moved by Amanda, second by Cale, all in favor. Attorney report.
Most of mine's already been talked about, the property cleanup for tax sale, the vendor ordinance, and KDOT pending. Switching the ordinance numbers, I've had a lot of very specific questions. And my statement on this, which sounds like it's council's opinion, is there's something to be said for the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. And obviously, if the numbers are serving the purpose, it sounds like the council is basically stated that we'll be grandfathering them in. And so I've just been explaining to people that there's a difference between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. And if it's serving its purpose, then, we'll evaluate on a case-by-case basis. I think we've all gotten complaints about the availability of the numbers to put on. And my response to that is, it says you have to have numbers on your house. It doesn't say what they have to be. Go get a paintbrush and a can of paint. To be fair, that complies with the ordinance. So I guess I'm not hearing many more complaints on it after that was my statement.
You're saying that, they could even take duct tape, make their numbers until they get them.
Yeah, neon orange duct tape on the side of your house. I'm not trying to be flippant about it, but
It's going to be an issue.
I'm sure it is. So, I guess I just wanted to bring up what my experience has been with that and as far as the specific questions I've gotten, I've, explained that the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law, and if it's serving its purpose, there is likely to be some leniency with that. I didn't say we're not going to, but I said, there's likely to be some leniency. And I guess getting them on your house does not say we need you to put brass in the hue of tarnished brass, and it's just put something visible there. I don't have anything other than that.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the attorney report?
so moved.
Moved by Larry,
Second.
second by Amanda, all in favor. Approved. Clerk report.
Okay, first thing I have is JR's guys, many of them wear T-shirts, the ones that have the city logo on them, and they've had them for many years, and they're starting to get a little bit ragged, and I'd like to request the council to approve getting new T-shirts for all of them. We'd like to get them 10 T-shirts each, which would be 2 weeks worth of T-shirts. They should last many years. The ones they've had now, I think they've had for 10 years. A long time. Long time. Some of the guys do have uniforms, but they all like the T-shirts. And so the cost to get them all 10 T-shirts would be $779.50.
Where do you get them from?
Now I can't think of the name of the place. Something Zone. They're in Manhattan.
That doesn't sound right. I know exactly what's that.
Yeah. In Zone. I think it is In Zone. They're in Manhattan.
Can you get them locally?
Probably not for this price, and they have our logo. This is where we always buy, like these shirts.
Yeah.
This is where we always get these. The T-shirts are $7.85 or $11.85 with a pocket.
How many shirts is it, Bill?
Well, let's see.
50, 60 shirts?
70 shirts. Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty good price.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, it's been moved by Amanda. Amanda, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second, Larry, all in favor? Approved?
Wait, did you vote?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. Okay, thank you. I know they'll appreciate that. I have a renewal for Pizza Hut for their cereal malt beverage license. They have a license to sell cereal malt beverages for consumption on the premises. Just need a motion to approve that.
I hear a motion to approve. Cereal malt license, moved by Cale, second by Amanda, all in favor? Approved.
Okay. We should be getting all of them, the rest of them, at the next meeting. They're due by the end of the year, so. And then there's some Spark funding that's come available for theaters, specifically for theaters, from the Kansas Department of Commerce. I did contact them to find out if a city-owned theater was eligible. They said yes, to some degree. There are restrictions. The funds can't be used for revenue replacement, but they could be used for things like personal protection equipment, plexiglass barriers, fogging machines to sanitize large areas. It's $10,000 per theater. I went ahead and turned in an application because, I mean, it can't hurt. I don't know if we can get reimbursed for stuff we've already spent. I don't know anything really about it except for I wanted you to know that I went ahead and applied because it was one of those quick, you got to get your application in, so I did. So we'll see where that goes. It's all COVID related. I know that you guys talked a little bit about the community service allocations and money for the food pantry at the last meeting that I wasn't at. So in next year's budget, there is a new line item, as you may recall, that you had allocated $5,000, and the intent of that was for anything that was community service related, like the Options Domestic Violence and the Child Advocacy Center. And in the past, you had given them $1,500, so that leaves $2,000 that you had allocated in case anybody asked for assistance. And I just wanted to make you aware of those funds being available if you wanted to consider them to assist the food pantry with their utilities. It could be maybe something like a utility incentive of we'll pay up to X amount of dollars a month towards your utilities. It's just an option. So they would have to put the utilities, right now they're in Zona Potter's name, and so we wouldn't be able to do them if they leave them in their name, but they are aware of that, and they're getting their 501(c), so they'll be putting it in their food pantry's name. So just something to think about if you want to do that. Out on the share, and Scott, I don't think I gave you a copy. Our ITRON maintenance agreements are coming up for renewal, and we obviously need them. JR can probably speak better about what these are. There's two of them here. One of them is $1,080, and it's for something new that has to do with the cloud.
Mm-hmm. That has to do with the new read system. We have to have that.
And then the other one is $3,185.12, and that's all the other stuff that we have.
Wasn't there also a support one on that, the old reader?
I think that's what it said.
If it was in there, she called me today on that. We have to have support for the old system. We still have to maintain some hand reading. They're going to stop supporting it. But if it doesn't work, there's certain readings we can't get yet. So all of these things are completely needed for us to function. So that's the one that we'll stop doing once we get everything converted from that. So we have to have it now for the main.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, it's all 100% necessary, must have the support. Licensing for it.
Okay. So did I hear a motion to pay how much for the fees?
One of them is $3,185.12, and the other one is $1,080.
Fees for the support on our system. Been moved by Amanda, second by Cale, all in favor?
And then our holidays for the employees, we allow employees we get December 25th off. And then employees can take 8 hours anywhere between, I can't remember the dates, but there's like a 2-week time period where employees are allowed another 8 hours of holiday that they can take whenever they want to, as long as we're able to accommodate that. Jen and I would both like to take Christmas Eve afternoon off, but that would mean closing City Hall. So I'm just asking if that would be okay. If you would prefer not, then I'll let Jen take it off and I'll go ahead and work.
Courthouse is closed all day on Christmas Eve, so.
We used to just take those 2 half days off. There was a time that we did that.
Oh, no. Oh, really?
But I think like with this new, like with the 8 hours is because you could take Christmas Eve, all of Christmas Eve off or all of New Year's Eve off. And
Or you could split it, yeah.
Or do whatever. I think,
The point was to make it, just give flexible time.
Right.
Certain people want their time around that holiday, as opposed to everybody just going home for the half day thing. That's how it came about. So anyway, but yeah, we used to.
I think it's fine, maybe the days before that, just have a note that it's going to be closed, and then on Christmas Eve.
do you remember like another closed Christmas Day? I mean, I'm sure people probably know that, but I just put a note that you're closed.
Christmas
Eve.
Eve.
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Does anybody ever walk in here on Christmas Eve?
Probably. If we're open, somebody probably will.
I'm sure it's pretty quiet, but you'd be surprised who would be out and about probably trying to do business.
No. But if that's all right,
That's fine.
thank you. I appreciate that. And then the only other thing is I need to request 3 minutes of executive session for non-elected personnel for employee status. You could say if you want, but you're not needed necessarily, so. And that sounds terrible, doesn't it?
Sarah, you're not needed.
I'm not offended.
I'll just say with just the council. I'll just say that with the council.
Okay, do you hear a motion to accept and file the clerk report? Dale, second by Larry, all in favor. Okay, council comments. Okay. Larry? No. Did you find any more on the playground?
Should not get them to come off, it comes off from a 4 or 5 different pages, so I was doing it. I should have been doing it. I'm going to hold them up and just, I'll send you an email with links, because I tried to print them and I couldn't get pricing and the picture all on one page. It was like 3 different pages.
Yeah, if we could get some pricing,
Yeah.
please let her know.
I tried to get them and like I said, I couldn't get them printed, so.
Okay. Okay, we need to review the bills. And then we'll go to executive session.
I have one question on the tax bill, for $40 for Rob Hines and
That's basically what they had, is they had that movie crew in there, and they just stacked the trash outside the trash. That was a ridiculous amount. So they charged us extra, and we charged them extra, I believe, right?
Mhm.
We passed it through to line.
Okay. I just thought that maybe.
It was more of an irritation than anything. I mean, it was like you drive in the alley, and there was at least 6 trash cans were up there. They just brought it all out at once. It's like, oh. So I told them to take that into account, please, and then Rod was fine with it. He just had more people sitting there. And I told him, the thing was, once I seen that was there, I said, we can make accommodations for additional trash service because animals have gotten in control of and rustled around, and I would rebag it, and they'll just pick it up because it was just not something. And it wasn't a bad discussion.
I thought I changed the description on that, but.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I forgot to, there's a card here from Justin Gardner.
He'll probably explain to you individually. If he hasn't, he'll find it. And he's copied it already and stuff. But he always gives us a card and thanks us. And then also for the 5-year service award.
He's very gracious.
Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you have a
Oh,
good week.
that's right.
Yes, thank you.
That's how they block it when you see it. She knew that one. Yeah. Brandon, did somebody pick up the sunflower pile that was back there?
I probably did put it back in the, yes, because we didn't want it to disappear. Yes,
Because I need it back because I need to do the cost analysis.
yes. It makes me nervous when it was sitting out.
What's that?
It makes me nervous when it's just sitting out.
When
And
you're letting all these public people come in and use it that aren't supposed to.
yes.
Okay, any questions on the bills, or do I hear a motion to approve them? Been moved by Amanda. Second by Dale. All in favor? Okay, the bills are approved on ordinance 1045. Yeah, we'll try to send you that one. JR, real quick question.
Yes,
That was 21 years ago. You won't remember when I don't even, when they put in those horses over there in the playground, the spring ones, did the city put those in, or did we hire somebody to put them? It's just some cement, isn't it? A cement base down in there, and then,
so even if I was here, do you think I'd remember that one?
That's pretty
We
great.
can look at them. I don't have a.
was it, well, I mean, once I find out what it costs, and I mean, if she's gonna do water too, trying to figure out what.
I would think that's something we could do. I don't know.
I don't think it'd be
too
too bad.
specific or anything,
And I think it's cool. I mean, I think that's cool.
I think he,
Add of some
but a
sort.
footer with
Yeah.
bolts on it.
I think it was just a round cylinder deal down in the ground with, and they get some bolts up or a plate that they send with it, and then you just bolt it on there.
Yeah, I don't know without looking at them. I
Okay.
don't remember anything about it.
Well, maybe once we find out a little bit more, we can figure that out. So,
Okay. Sounds good.
okay.
Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 minutes on it?
Yeah, or 2, actually. I can do it in 2. I can do this in 2.
You can do it in 60 seconds.
I probably could.
Make a motion to go into executive session for the council mayor and Mila for 2 minutes to resume at 8:44 for non-elected personnel for employee status.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, hold on.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept her resigning?
You want to say the name?
Cody Wortman.
Who made the motion?
I'll make the motion to accept the resignation. You know, the 3%, accept the resignation for Cody Wortman.
Okay.
Okay, who made the motion to?
Bill was second, and then first, and I was second.
Okay.
I was actually
Oh,
third.